for us to introduce the man behind Heritage Restaurant. Reno, how are you, my friend? Good to have you back on the show.
What's up, boys? It's Heritage.
And of course, we know Reno, and this was great because at the restaurant we discovered through Mike Mayo, who was a huge fan.
Yeah.
And the fact that you had these hockey ties, we were made aware of by the great Jim Sarney, who's also a huge fan of the restaurant.
He played hockey, so let's say being on the ice and being in a restaurant, how important was it to have not only Kachuk come in, and I think that's what it was, is not only he came in, but like he does everything. Like he doesn't give a shit.
Right.
Same thing I feel like in a restaurant, like when you have, you're the chef and we saw you come in, you're cleaning cups and you're welcoming people. The fact that like the big boss man, the big dude is doing the lowest job, to me, it endears a lot of people, especially on a team or in a business.
You have to have that mentality. It's a team player. It's not, well, this is my job. I'm just going to do my job, and that's your job. You do your job in separate. It's like, what do you need? Can I help you? When you build, and especially from the top, when you start that way, you're building the culture, and then the rest of it falls into place. Yep. If you build that culture, people believe in the culture, the business takes off, and the business will go forward because people want to be a part of that culture. That's why you always people knock on, corporate places. When they try to do like that forced culture and you have like your stupid little lame seminars and stuff like that, they're like, we're doing team building today. And you talk to grown ass men like 5-year-olds, be like, no, man.
We were in radio.
Like, relax. It's 9 o'clock in the morning.
You didn't do radio?
One of our best cooks right now just found his wife in bed with another man. Like, he's smoking a cigarette. Everybody, bring out the tequila bottle. That's real culture. That's real team building my ass. Like, listen, buddy, you sucked last night. All right? Exactly. You were on the verge of getting fired. I almost wanted to just headbutt you in the middle of the dining room. Let's have a beer and let's do it again.
We went to any number of meetings. We talk about it from time to time where it would come and he would give you this brilliant, state of affairs that was going on right now. Even though you had just read that morning, the company was $30 billion in debt since this guy took over. And then people were cleaning out their desks right after the meeting, after he just told you how valuable you were to the company. And it was all bullshit.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
I got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. How could you not be happy? It's Thanksgiving week, Mike Lubie Lubitz. Unless, of course, your song of the day was more along the lines of if you were a Florida State fan. It's not over till it's over. Is that what you're saying? Jordan Travis, he's going to shake it off like he was Aaron Rodgers?
He's done, but we'll be fine. We'll get into this, I'm sure, but we'll be fine.
You're okay? Wow, I didn't expect this. I thought I would catch you right away.
Dolphins
going on some kind of negative rant. Can you believe this? Every year we got a chance, and finally we got a quarterback, and we got everything going the right way. I thought you would be going nuts at the top of the show. What happened? Did something bad happen to you over the weekend to overwhelm?
Travis wasn't playing well. I mean, the last 2 months, their offense had been a disaster. Their offense played the best ball it's played in 2 months when Travis got hurt. Norvell and McDaniel, I'm not joking. I think they talk all week on how they can fucking scare their fans. Like, Norvell had this really good offense at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, and then Jordan Travis became a Heisman candidate, and they said, fuck it. It's the same thing with Tua. Like, he came in, he had Tua do what Tua did best, and now Tua's finally respected. All right, fuck it. Let's just do all the things that don't work. Like, so to me, that's the funny thing is Rodemaker is not better than Travis, but Norvell will coach the offense the way he needs to goddamn coach the offense, and it's going to be better. It's like Mike McDaniel talks.
Did they not rattle off like 50 after he came into the game?
Went 50.
Were they losing 13-3 to Northern Alabama?
Nothing to North Alabama.
Wow.
And Jordan Travis got hurt, and they went and scored 45 straight points with the backup, and then the other quarterback scored a touchdown. And then the stupid ass fucking coach, instead of just trying to get a touchdown, went for a field goal down 52-13. And the special team said, fuck you. And literally blocked the kick and ran it back for a touchdown just to shove it down the guy's throat. I mean, Rodemaker again.
What would be the purpose of a guy going for a field goal in that spot?
It was dumb. He was just trying. I don't know what he was trying to do, but he just pissed off FSU. And I think that's literally what that injury did. It woke the team up. The team's played so lethargic and stupid the last month and a half that Travis getting hurt somehow like clicked in their head. Oh, we have to try now. Like they haven't played that hard since your Syracuse game. That was the last time they played like that. Was the damn Syracuse game.
Cuse, by the way, finally came to the realization it wasn't working.
Yeah,
Dino Babers canned. That was one of the coaching casualties over the weekend. You know what I love about this, Lubie? You are inspired by negativity or what is perceived as gloom and doom around the country. Florida State in the AP poll drops down to number 5 behind Washington. The committee actually takes these, the College Football Playoff Committee, whoever that consists of. Is Condoleezza Rice still getting a vote?
No idea. Probably.
Huckabee Sanders is involved in the College Football Playoff Committee. I'm not sure, what all of the criteria are because I don't think anybody ever knows. But they actually do take into account, okay, well, their quarterback is out. And that was much of the conversation was, if he's out, then maybe Florida State is out, no matter what. So we'll see what happens. I mean, you would have to assume the Gators gave a decent account of themselves against Missouri, although they did lose the game. But thank you very much. I'm a big Napier fan now. They covered the point spread, which I was handed the Gators plus 12, thinking that this was going to be negative city. And Missouri was very happy to celebrate that victory, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm even happier because I'm making money. You can have your stupid win. All I want is the cover. Had to sweat out a lot of covers in the NFL yesterday. Wow. I mean, we've been kind of saying this for a while now since it was brought up to me by a couple of handicappers that we had on a show, Licensed to Steal, the great Frank Miramonte, race caller, Saratoga, and also Santa Anita and Mark Lawrence. They both just arbitrarily and independently brought up the same point, which is you never want to lay points in a ball game. You never want to lay points. If you think a team's going to win, go ahead and take the minuscule payoff on the money line. But let's say you were back in the Denver Broncos last night, which I had Minnesota plus 2.5 in my personal bookmaking war that has been going on all season long and for the last several years with my buddy Francesco. Normally, I don't have to worry about such things at this point in the season because he's usually buried by now. He's usually 20 or 30 games under 500. This year, he's hanging tough. I think the NFL has offered some really easy pickings in certain spots. Is it not safe? You would be well ahead of the pack if you were betting against Carolina every week. They have 1 win against the spread. They have 7 or 8 losses now and 2 pushes, one of which easily, depending on when you bet the game, could have been a loss. So, I mean, that's really where you want to put your money. Against Carolina and Bryce Young, which now looms as a rather large mistake as you're looking at C.J. Stroud not only being a candidate for Rookie of the Year. I mean, could you make a kind of mild, tepid case that he would be the MVP the way Houston is playing? This kid's been great. MVP, my friend. Never mind Aaron Rodgers. He's been out. Never mind Mahomes, usually automatically considered the MVP. We'll find out more about that tonight. He can do, great things in terms of gaining strides in that regard if they beat the Philadelphia Eagles tonight, which a lot of people, where do you stand on that one, the rematch of the Super Bowl? Are you thinking we're going to get another just marquee game there it's a marquee game, but another stellar performance by both teams? Or is this going to be a little bit of a flat line as all this buildup is going on, and I guess Taylor Swift won't be there, so that's going to take some of the luster away from the shots of the crowd. But nonetheless, you do have Kansas City and the Eagles both battling for the title. I think of being the best team in the league to this point. Right now, I don't know. Do you still have San Francisco in there? They've come back and won a couple of games. They failed to cover a point spread yesterday. They were laying 14 in their ball game against the hapless Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who gave them a little bit of a battle. But nonetheless, I mean, so many dicey things happen when you're trying to cover a spread. I'm screaming. It's the game within a game. I need McCaffrey to bust through on a short yardage play and maybe pick up 20 yards with about 2.5 minutes left. So the 49ers would have been in a position where it would have been justified to go ahead for a field goal, even though they were up 27-13. And sure enough, they kept getting stuffed and failed to cover the 14 points, winning by 13. But nonetheless, that doesn't degrade their overall claim, maybe, to being the best team in the NFC. If Philly loses tonight, where does that leave you with regard to teams that you would consider to be on top of the world?
I mean, I think San Francisco is the best team in football as long as they have their whole team. but that's asking a lot of an
Yeah.
NFL team. to fully
Purdy was near perfect yesterday. He had a perfect quarterback rating, even though he didn't complete a couple of passes. How is that possible? How can you be perfect if you missed on a couple of throws?
perfect. Really, I actually don't know how the thing and how can you be over 100? I thought 100's. I don't know. I don't know how any of that shit worked. I know that when they have their whole team, they're the best team in football. But again, okay, like who can have their whole team? Like it's the NFL. People like are half dying every
Yes. Tommy DeVito, his star rose as the Giants beat the Commanders, and you had to think, wow, speaking about blowing taps, how much longer can our good friend Ron Rivera continue to coach the Washington Commanders after losing to the Giants, a team that was deemed to be as hapless and pathetic as any in the National Football League, playing a quarterback that you didn't even know was on the roster. I don't even know if DeVito knew he was on the roster. It was named after a character in Goodfellas played by Joe Pesci, and the immediate reaction you get is, what? Giants are playing Danny DeVito at quarterback?
Yeah, exactly.
And he has the stature of Danny DeVito. And he throws 3 touchdown passes, and now they're just heaping glowing praise upon him in New York. And maybe rightfully so. That's a real Horatio Alger type of story, is it not? If he never wins another game, the fact that he came from nowhere and actually quarterbacked the team to victory and had a lot to do with it in an NFL game, not a bad distinction. I mean, how many people can really make that claim, Lubie? Not too many. Where, you're an undrafted free agent, totally disregarded by all of the scouts. Nobody even knows, literally, that you're on the roster at the beginning of the season. And I don't know how much great expectations there were for the Giants, but you wouldn't have thought that they would be this bad. And he helps right the ship there. So now I don't know. Did it ignite playoff hopes? I don't think so. They're done. The Jets also. Wow. How many more times are we going to be subjected to watching New York Jets football? That was dreadful. I mean it. I think it's true. If you look this up, go back into the record books there and start tracking this. What was the Jets' last offensive touchdown scored by Matt Snell in Super Bowl III?
No.
There's the give from Namath. Seems like it, doesn't it? Zach Wilson. Wow. I mean, all of that draft capital they gave up to move up in the draft to take Zach Wilson. They already had made their statement. I mean, they'd already thrown in the towel on this kid when they signed Aaron Rodgers and got him from the Green Bay Packers, also at some significant expense. And so between the two of them, Rodgers doesn't play, although he says he's coming back and maybe playing sometime in December. What would be the point of that if the Jets are out of the race?
I don't.
Which they seem to be after this loss yesterday.
I don't think he's coming back. I think that's a load of garbage. He tore his Achilles, and he's 39. So I don't think he's coming back. I think he loves attention, which he never did early in his career, but now he's an attention whore. And if he's not being talked about, he has to do something to be talked about. I mean, he's not coming back, and it makes no sense. Like this idea, well, with Rodgers, we're winning the Super Bowl. No, you never were. Your offensive line sucks, and whoever's back there is going to get killed. So why would you want to do that to Aaron Rodgers if you love him so much?
DeVito, by the way, for the Giants, took 9 sacks yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
9 sacks. That's for the Giants. Wilson was horrible. I mean, he just can't generate any offense whatsoever. I mean, it's crazy to think that you could have had such, Charles Dickens thing, high expectations, and then have them all deflated after one series of downs. And then the reality finally sunk in, I guess, that this guy, he actually fell down running onto the field.
Yes.
He was so used to being sacked that he just went down as he was going out onto the field. Okay, let's go get him, guys. They were never in that game, though. The Buffalo Bills had a couple of field goals. They had to settle for field goals early in the ball game. They were up like 9-0, and the next thing you know, it's like 32-6. What was the final there? Dolphin game was very interesting yesterday. Also, I mean, it's a good thing, that I took a lot of math courses when I was in high school and college. High school, you couldn't avoid it. College, I took a lot of math because I was okay at it, and I wasn't very good at geology, and I hated reading the British novels, so this was the easiest way to get out of there is take 100 math courses. You would have thought I was on my way to MIT. But even with that, I really struggled with all the various permutations that you had to go through to try to figure out in that Dolphin game if the Raiders were going to be within 14 by the time the final whistle blew. Turned out they had a chance to win the game, and we're going to get into that. We have the Pigskin Playbook coming up here on the show with the great John Congemi, brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. We're going to come back with that in just a moment. John, a very busy man, and we'll be with you until 9 o'clock today. And later on today, we try another experiment at 10 o'clock. Tony Bruno Sports Network. I'm getting a mixed bag. I mean, some people are tuning it in when we're actually okay, when we're on. And that's great. And others are like, where is this? I can't get it. Are you guys on? What do you think today, Lubie? What are the odds today?
I don't know. I do it every time, and I just give it my all. That's all.
We're giving our best. We're giving our best on that thing. It hasn't really run too smoothly yet, but and I don't know. Did anything change over the weekend that would make you believe that after Friday, because we were in a little tape delay, you still have to count Mississippi's before you respond to anything I say, which makes for very awkward, especially a radio show. It's one thing if I see you and you have a blank look on your face, but when you're going, what do you think about that, Mike Lubie Lubitz?
And that's,
Lubie!
I'm responding right away when I hear you, and then hearing you count before
Mississippi, to Mississippi.
Yeah, it's. I don't know.
The Jets, the latest to petition the league about counting Mississippi. So I guess the Giants should do it too. All right, we're going to come back. We'll talk about the Dolphins and the Raiders. We had the Hurricanes over the weekend also. In another disaster, I'm hearing nothing but loser talk coming from Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, he sucks.
Wow. I mean, he's talking about how they're in games in the fourth quarter at 6-5.
And their fans have totally lost their shit.
My goodness. 3-for-1 tickets they were giving away, right? You could buy one ticket, get two free, and the stadium was still empty.
Man, it was empty.
Against the top 10 team. Yes.
Like, come on.
In the Schnellenberger Bowl. They weren't even there to dignify the memory of the great Howard Schnellenberger. Oh, I took the program from the brink of extinction. And Louisville wasn't doing too well either. They were about to pack it in, and I got them a stadium. I got them Papa John's. It was just a heck of a ride. The only thing, I wish I hadn't gone to Oklahoma and done all that drinking on the sideline. Poor Howard, man. I mean, his reputation tarnished forever. Because did he actually whip out a flask when he was coaching in Oklahoma? Because I don't remember him being, it wasn't like you were talking about Dennis Erickson there.
No.
All right, John's coming up in just a second here. Brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. We'll be back with John Congemi, the Pigskin Playbook, in a moment here on the Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday edition of the Defo Show with a surprisingly, I mean, you talk about resilience. Mike Lubie Lubitz feeling good about Florida State in spite of this devastation. I'm Jeff DeForest. Back in a moment. Now that. The time. Thank you, Johnny. It's 8:18.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Let's hope we're dead wrong about a lot of things. That could be another book that we put out. Let's hope we're dead wrong about a lot of things. The end is near. You can tell the end is near, man. You could definitely do that.
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
All right. Welcome back to the show. Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday, and always a pleasure to welcome this gentleman to the program. It's the Pigskin Playbook with the great John Congemi, longtime ESPN analyst, played professional football, starred here locally at St. Thomas Aquinas, and, of course, backed up Marino and then took over the reins for Dan Marino at the University of Pittsburgh. John, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Feeling good for a Monday. Dolphins had a big victory. Unfortunately for the Canes, they didn't. And gosh, I feel horrible for Florida State and what happened up there in Tallahassee on Saturday.
Lubie surprisingly upbeat today, saying it's no problem and that this will fix a very difficult situation that he's been contending with, which is his despising Mike Norvell's play calling, because he has a playmaker, and he makes the comparison, John. Is it a fair one? Because we did see, and I have to say this helped me. I was handed the Raiders plus 14 yesterday in my bookmaking venture.
Very
And,
nice.
I see, the Dolphins are down there by the goal line with a chance to pad their lead. I think they were at like the 5 or 6 yard line. And I'm thinking, yeah, forget about that
What?
field goal, McDaniel. Let's go for that 4th and 3. And
Yeah.
what does he do? He throws like a wide receiver bubble screen or something, which doesn't work. It's snuffed out right away. They turn the ball over on downs, and saving those 3 points, it wouldn't have made the ultimate difference, but it sure seemed to be a soothing and calming influence on me at the time. What did you make of it? I mean, if you look at the stats, didn't the Dolphins gain like 400 yards in this game? And yet people are saying that. And the defense was great with 3 turnovers. You had the 2 great Jalen Ramsey interceptions. But what did you think? I mean, it appeared to me that the Dolphins were dominating that game, and yet it still boiled down to that Ramsey pick at the end for a chance to help them avert the tie.
I was waiting for Mike McDaniel to come out in the post-game presser and go, "Are you not satisfied? Like, what are you people looking for?" Right?
Yeah.
I mean, a win is it's so hard to win each and every week in the National Football League, and everybody kind of brushes that off. But when you take a Raiders team that was dead to rights 3 weeks ago, I mean, they couldn't get out of their own way.
No.
And you change the head coach, and you change the play caller, and you don't change really the players much. You add in a rookie quarterback. Yeah, he threw some picks, but gosh, at one point in that game, Aiden O'Donnell was 9 of 10 for 104 yards and a touchdown. And you're thinking, here come the Raiders, right? Here we go. We got them.
But you hear Chris Berman ringing in your ears. Yeah,
right. And it was kind of, for a Dolphin fan that was waiting for, we're so used to now just sitting down and looking for fireworks. We should have a 60-yard play every time we touch the ball, every time we come on the field. And it's not that easy, and teams adjust. And sometimes you're just a hair off, or pressure in the pocket makes you hold the football that one instance longer, and all of a sudden it's a disaster, or it's an incompletion at best for Dolphin fans. So yes, it was a defensive win. It was a field position type of thing. It was a sudden change afternoon for the Miami Dolphins on defense. They only allowed 6 points on, I think, 3 possessions that they were given to on their own 30-yard line, or basically thereabouts.
Yeah.
And I thought it was an outstanding performance. And for me, watching the game, even though you love to see fireworks, that was an entertaining game for me to watch, because they had to find a way to win a different way, and the Miami Dolphins found that way.
Well, they turned the ball over 3 times also, and as you
exactly.
said, John,
and that hasn't happened in a while.
Very compromising positions, at least on 2 of those occasions. I'm watching Tua. He fires that rock, and it does seem like you're going to have to concede the Dolphins something, and defenses are anyway. It looked to me like the Raiders had decided we don't want to get beaten deep, and that left a very soft middle of the field, which is usually where the Dolphins have their greatest success. And when you have Tyreek Hill, of course, that first touchdown he scored, he beats like 7 guys who were all in some kind of cockamamie zone. It looked like Tony Sparano had dug up the defense there, and he just flies by him. And you're asking yourself, okay, they've done everything they can to try to prevent this guy from getting a touchdown, and he makes it look easy anyway.
Well, it was a zone, but it was a zone like you got him, I got him, nobody's got him, right? He kind of flew by everybody.
Yours, yeah, exactly.
And that was really the same way. I guess on the flip side, Devontae Adams, when he blows by both safeties for the Dolphins on that bomb, it was beautiful. Now, did he push off a little bit to get some leverage? Maybe, yeah, I could see that. But same instance where you've got guys kind of flat-footed, and you've got 2 premier wide receivers that have great speed, one elite speed in Tyreek Hill, and he just separates from everybody. And Tua, I know there's a lot of timing, and I know there's a lot of blind trust that goes into the throws that he makes over the middle, because he's anticipating throwing to spots, and he's trusting that his receivers are taking the proper steps, coming out of the breaks the proper way and at the right angle, because he's letting it fly and sometimes in harm's way. And it seems like a guy in the same color jersey is coming away with it almost every time. And if it's Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, you get tons of yards after a catch. I believe I was looking up at one of the monitors during the game, and the Dolphins midway through the game already had over 120 yards after the catch, yards after the catch, compared to the Raiders where they had maybe 20 or 30. And that's the difference. Those guys make really good plays into plays that other teams don't have because of their elite speed and the room that they create with the fear of them going by them.
Well, and now they're sitting there at 7-3. We had talked about all season long, pretty much, that you were looking at the last 3 or 4 games of the season as being the real telling point, and that would go along and in line with the old cliche about you're going to really decide who's good and who's not in December. That from a scheduling standpoint, is emphasized even more so. But it also leads us to what is a very soft part of the schedule coming up. And if you had to play a team on a short week, catching the New York Jets right now at home on Friday would seem like a very fortuitous spot.
It's probably the greatest spot you could be in for the Dolphins.
It's almost like a buy or a free win, is it not? I mean, if they lose this game, that would really be perplexing.
Yeah, you feel horribly for the Jets on defense because it seems like each week they come out and give you everything they have, but it's only a matter of time until the bend don't break, create turnovers, you lose field position. Here comes another, short field because of a Jets offensive turnover or a poor punt, and now your back's against the wall. And for the Dolphins, they just, I would think, have to be licking their chops. They may get Robert Hunt back at right guard, which would be huge down the stretch, especially when they get up to Baltimore, Dallas, Buffalo. The team's getting healthy at the right time, and they're going to go up and play a team that, gosh, I mean, what are they? They're lifeless on offense.
Oh yeah, well, I'm going to have to make another quarterback change. They benched Wilson yesterday during the game. I guess who was the guy they brought in there? And they signed Trevor Siemian, but they brought in Boyle. Yeah.
Tim Boyle.
Yeah, Tim Boyle, yeah.
Didn't seem to have much success either, and made you think maybe the Buffalo Bills are back on track, although it's a very tough barometer to judge by when you're playing a Jet team that is as offensively inept as any we've seen in a long, long time. It really is embarrassing, and it's tough to have to watch that. They should issue a warning, both at the beginning of the game and at halftime, no?
They should go
You
to
may
black
not want to watch
every
this
time.
video. Yes.
Just cut the black every time the Jets have it on offense and come back and show the Dolphins.
Give me the Heidi Bowl all over again. Yeah. I mean, I'd be happy to see the screen go black. As I remember watching that game, believe it or not, I'm old enough to have, been a cognizant viewer of the Heidi Bowl game. And I remember it's like, wait a minute, what did they go to? Like Cinderella or something? They went to some kind of, ridiculous thing. The Heidi. I mean, they aired Heidi, and I was thinking, geez, the Raiders were gaining momentum at that time, even though mathematically it seemed like the Jets had that game under control. And then, sure enough, you find out later on, and this was before the age of instant information, and later on you go, what?
Yeah, what
they
happened?
Fucking lost? Are you kidding me? That was like the Miracle at the Meadowlands, same sort of thing, though.
Right.
When Jay Fiedler was leading the Dolphins, and looked like they had the Jets completely smoked. And sure enough, they come back and win that ballgame. All right, so where do we stand? You're feeling pretty good about this. I'm with you. I mean, it was impressive. Maybe the final score wasn't overwhelming. It got dicey there at the end. They kept giving the Raiders a ball back with more chances to get back into the game and maybe send it to overtime. Our good friend Jim Sarney was rooting for overtime. I was rooting for the game to end at 7. And overtime wouldn't have hurt me any, but it certainly would have been damaging to the Dolphins' cause if they found themselves in kind of a potluck situation where one misstep and you could cost yourself the ball game, and that would have been embarrassing. But you're feeling pretty positive about this Miami Dolphin team. Where do you think they stack up? We'll know more tonight after watching KC in Philadelphia. But where would you put them in the John Congemi AFC power rankings?
Well, first of all, I mean, I do feel good about the team. 7-3, you're gaining distance, a separation in the AFC East, and you turn the football over uncharacteristically against a team that took advantage, but they gave it back to you as well. So the Dolphins, if they're going to play hit or miss football over the next 5 weeks, they've sure picked the right teams to play, because they've got the Jets twice. You've got Tennessee. You've got Washington. I mean,
Tennessee was horrible yesterday.
Tennessee's almost as bad on offense as the Jets, and
Yes.
that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
So I think they're in the strike zone of they're going to beat one of those teams, either the Jets, probably not the Jets, the Titans. I could see them putting 40 plus points on and really.
I thought Will Levis was going to be better too, didn't you?
Okay.
I mean, that first performance looked pretty encouraging.
It seemed like it's a shorter sample size, but in college it was really good, and then it got progressively bad as he got more experience, whereas you thought it might go the other way.
Yeah.
And I think in the NFL it's going to be a quicker timeline to that, because defensive coordinators are so good that they're going to have a book on them to say, this is how we can really stifle this team without a lot of, offensive consistency, I guess, with line play and moving the chains and staying on the field. It'll be a tough road for him, especially against Miami when they play on that Monday night. But I feel good about the team. Defense played great. Jalen Phillips had a couple of sacks. He had 2 forced fumbles. I mean,
Wilkins was in there a lot.
Yeah, Wilkins was in there a lot. They had 6 tackles for loss as a team. Jalen gets 2 picks. He's played 2 weeks and leads the team in interceptions, I think. So
he might be the all-time Dolphin leader at this point.
Yeah.
I think Dick Anderson. He eclipsed Dick Anderson,
right,
with that second pick.
I think you have to feel good about the team right now. You have to feel pretty good where you're sitting, because they have to be able to win games down the stretch against good teams. But in order to do that and create separation and win the AFC East, you have to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. And the Dolphins are doing that, even though it was by a touchdown and you had to, kind of edge of your seat till the last play. They found a way to win.
Look, I don't expect them to win by 30 every game. It is the NFL. The Raiders have played inspired under Antonio Pierce. They do have actual talent on that team. They weren't supposed to be horrible. They were supposed to be the last couple of years. McDaniels just sucks as a head coach. And that was more their issue than talent on the team. I mean, they were 4-5. It wasn't like they were a one-win team. My frustration is the same things that are frustrating every week. And that's my problem. And instead of Mike McDaniel, it feels like saying, okay, fine, I'm learning. It feels like he's leaning into it. His short yardage play calls are bad. And they've been bad his whole tenure. And he's not even trying to, the wide receiver screen really doesn't work for them a lot. It just doesn't. When they do the one with the running back, or they do a running back screen. But when they do this, I'm going to say, throw it to a guy 3 yards behind the line and watch him get killed. That hasn't worked for them. It just hasn't. And short yardage, it really hasn't worked for them repeatedly. So to me, why try the same thing over and over again to have the same shitty result? That's they won the game. The defense has come on in a way that we were waiting for. It's going to be really hard to score on this defense. They literally have talent everywhere. The linebackers position is not great, but you can't have everything. Their back end's as good as anyone. Now with Phillips and Chubb and Wilkins and Sealer, their front line's as good as anyone. So the defense did their thing. The offense should too, though. And that's my problem. They had 6 possessions inside the opponent 40 and got 20 points. Yeah. They should score more points than that. And then I even got over that. It's whatever, fine. You had 3 possessions inside the 10-minute mark to end the game. This isn't Joe Philbin. This isn't Fiedler. This is this offense that is one of the best running offenses in football. You have Armstead. You have Williams. 3 possessions, run 5 minutes off the clock, get a field goal in the game. They got 2 first downs on all 3 possessions combined, punted all 3 times. And it's okay, that is an issue to me. If you want to be a great team, which no one's saying they are yet, they're trying to be, you end the game. 5 minutes, get a field goal. Even if you don't get a touchdown, give them the ball back with 4 minutes, give them the ball back with 2 minutes, you're up 2 possessions. The fact that they kept getting the ball back and the defense kept having to save them, that's my issue in that game. It's not the final score. It's when they had a chance to end the game, which is what a Chiefs would probably do, or a Ravens would do, or an Eagles would do, and even this year the Eagles have done this, they didn't do it. When they had a chance to end the game on offense, and they have a great offense, they didn't. So that's the thing that sort of scares me about this team is when they have a chance to put teams away lately, they're not doing it. They're winning, but they're not doing it. And I'm curious if that's something that'll come back to bite them in the ass later.
It could, because just look at the caliber of teams that they've lost to and look at the caliber of teams that they have left on the schedule that they have to beat. Now, they may not have to beat them to win the AFC East. They may have that wrapped up before they get to the Baltimore Ravens or the Dallas Cowboys or the Buffalo Bills. But when you get into a playoff situation, maybe on the road against Kansas City or Baltimore, depending on how the chips fall at the end of the year, you're going to have to pull out games or stay on the field, to your point, Lubie, or score in the red zone on a fourth down try without throwing the ridiculous wide receiver screen. I will give Mike McDaniel credit.
Do you like that play? Do you like that when they do that?
If you have Randy Moss,
it's one of those
in the red zone. It
situations.
seems like
in the red zone, I don't like it.
No.
Out in the middle of the field is much better than in the red zone, because in the red zone everything happens quicker,
right?
And unless you get the right angle and he's not playing, press man, and you don't have a guy that like anticipates that play, you're kind of like crossing your fingers as a fan. Don't call the wide receiver screen.
yes.
So if you're doing that as a fan, what do you think the opposing defensive coordinator has been preaching all week, right? I do think, though, the play that my most favorite play of the game was the halfback delay in the red zone, where Ahmed walks into the end zone, because of the angle created by the motion and the delay, where they have Connor Williams coming out and just killing whoever it was on the angle block. And then the tight end Hill, I don't know, 89, he fumbles every time he gets the ball, but that guy, he ends up getting an angle block, and it was free
three
sailing.
catches, 2 fumbles or something.
It was beautiful. I mean, that was a absolute perfect design, play call, right time. And I'd like to see them do that with the tight end sometimes. I like to see them do that with when they bring Hill back into the backfield, have them do that with him and send everybody deep and let him come underneath. I mean, that's just an old kind of tight end delay, fullback delay, old school 70s, 80s call that has a motion and a wrinkle to it now that worked perfectly for the Dolphins yesterday.
It's kind of an Oppenheimer situation for me with McDaniel. I mean, created something that scientifically shows genius, and yet there are repercussions and unfortunate negativities associated with it, because you're depending on this explosive offense, not to necessarily continue the bomb parallel, but and then you want to keep using it. And yet I was thinking on that play when they were down there that we were talking about, where they ran the screen, just run Mostert up the middle one time. Just ram it down their throats one time. Yeah, that's what you see other teams do.
I would love to see them repeat. So they ran him once, and he kind of, 1 or 2 yards. But do it again.
Yeah.
Just do it again.
The offensive linemen love that. I mean,
the guy's got 13 or 12 or 11 rushing touchdowns.
Right.
He finds creases and he runs over people. Give it to him again. Yeah.
And that's a play, too, where you could have opened up the game and changed the entire dynamic for the way the rest of the game was contested. And instead, you leave the Raiders, Las Vegas, in a situation where they're emboldened by what's happening, even though, they were facing their own offensive struggles in that one. After the Devontae Adams catch, they didn't really do much to impress you. And yet they're still hanging in there with a legitimate shot to at least take it to overtime, or maybe even, take the gutsy move of going for 2, which I don't know what Pierce's attitude would have been towards that. But, you're thinking, geez, if we get out of here, escape with a win, that would really be something. All right, quick perusal around, some of the things that happen in the rest of the league, and then we'll get into some college football in the next segment here with John Congemi and a Pigskin Playbook. The Lions come back from the dead and beat the Bears. I gave the Bears 0 chance in that. I ended up having the Bears plus 8 points, so worked out well for me.
It sounded like a good week for you, Defo.
No, actually, it wasn't.
No?
These I'm only talking about the games I won, because the other ones were so miserable. I ended up with Carolina and Tennessee, and with games that you would never taken the underdog in, and I'm amazed that the bookmakers are getting away with and not losing their ass by not providing more points, especially with Carolina. And then, of course, you had Carolina against Dallas. And, Dallas beats them by 23 points, probably under cruise control. And the Panthers were only getting 10.5. And I thought, wow, that's like a Christmas gift. It's only Thanksgiving. And here we are opening presents already. Elsewhere, I mean, the Texans are a good story. I don't know. I mean, can they do any damage here? C.J. Stroud has eclipsed anything that you could have anticipated, and certainly the people in Carolina who said, "Man, you know what? We ought to take this young kid." Probably are rethinking their position. Are they lining the luxury suites there, where the general manager and the management of the team stays with cyanide caps instead of the usual bottles of water? Because they have to be wondering what the hell kind of a mistake was that so far. I mean, it may change over time, but Stroud has adapted to the pro game like you could have never imagined.
Yeah, he has, and he's really been so consistent, and it's a surprise for the Texans that they're playing well on both sides of the football. And for Carolina, as you said, going up against the Cowboys,
disaster.
That could have been a 17, 18-point spread, and they would have cruised,
And I still would have taken the Cowboys and won.
Yeah, right. And,
are the Cowboys legit, in your opinion? I mean, they're creaming teams of late. I mean, their only loss was a close one to Philly on the road.
I think Dallas is legit. I think they're legit. And I think Brock Purdy answered a lot of skeptics coming back, this week and putting a really, really solid game together. I think he had a perfect quarterback rating. It hasn't happened for the 49ers since Montana and Young did it, I think, in the same year. So, I think there's still Philly, San Fran, Dallas, Detroit in the NFC. And then in the AFC, you have to hope that Kansas City and or Baltimore stumble before they play the Dolphins. Because if you don't, I think the Dolphins are going to have a home game and then on the road. I think they'll find a way to get a home game and then maybe have to, go out on the road. And gosh, Cincinnati without Burrow, I mean, done. I think they're done.
Yeah, you would have to think so. They might have been done with Burrow, but it really looks bleak now. All right, and the good thing is our quarterback, who is supposed to be fragile, injury prone, prone to concussive activity, he's still standing. Did he put on about 20 pounds? And is it all around the middle there? I mean, he looks like his body type has changed to something more along the lines of mine in my old age.
No, he's in good shape. He just put on.
People are being weird because his face looks rounder, so they're assuming it's fat. No, he's jacked now. Like he actually took off season.
I saw him coming into the game. Was he wearing some kind of Hawaiian skirt or whatever that was?
I think so. He usually does something like that. Yeah, but he's played phenomenal, and he hasn't taken any hits. I don't remember him getting like a hit where you kind of lean back on your seat and go, "Oh no, I hope he's okay."
One of the few quarterbacks, that's had that.
Putting himself out of harm's way in terms of, yesterday was the first time, I think, when he fumbled the football that he went head first.
Yeah.
Normally he's been sliding on just about everything, or just throwing the football on the ground, throwing it away, just falling down before he gets hit. And that's, I think instinctively it was probably really hard for Tua to learn how to do that because he's never done that in his whole career since he's been 6, 7, 8 years old when he started playing football. But for this team to win and for him to stay healthy, he had to make that adjustment. That was the biggest adjustment he made in the offseason, other than, putting on the weight and being able to, be stronger. I think how to play when things break down and making decisions right away to say, this play is done. There's no salvaging it. I'm not going to put myself in any risk of getting hit. I'm going to fall down, slide, or throw it away and live to play the next play. And I think that's going to be the way the Dolphins continue to roll on offense. It's Tua that has to stay kind of upright and clean. And so far, I don't think he's taken much of any abuse in terms of physicality against him.
Well, and you also have to keep in mind, I guess, that, what is he in his fourth year? And, he still is eligible to improve from where he's at. So if you had a quarterback that maybe, wasn't cast into the spotlight and the limelight right away, of course, he played the first couple of years with Brian Flores, holding this guy under snug restraint, as they say in horse racing. Then McDaniel comes in and he has to get used to that, and he adjusts very well, but was getting creamed behind weak offensive line play, plus maybe his own, a lack of ability to, stay out of danger and maybe putting himself at risk. And he's still capable of getting better. So let's hope that happens down the last few games.
You add that into a team as an offense. I think they lead the National Football League in the time it takes to release the football. I think
Yeah.
they're averaging
He zips it.
2.4 seconds,
Yeah.
and that's kind of unheard of. The ball's gone,
Right.
and he's putting himself and the ball's gone, and they're being explosive at the same time.
Yes.
With the receiving core that they have. So that's a pretty good combination for victory if you can consistently repeat that, and the Dolphins have.
Same rocket arm we saw from a young John Congemi at Pittsburgh.
That's right.
He rifles those 15, 20-yard strikes in there, and it's actually a pleasure to watch. I'm thinking, wow, this kid's got some fastball. All right, great time of the year to get down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Show. We'll come back, too, after this and talk about what's happening on the college gridiron. A lot of interesting developments over the weekend and, set up for just a colossal conclusion to the season here. But Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, yeah, I saw Jimmy.
Got some news, Defo. I got some news on Jimmy Johnson, but it's not the news you guys are thinking about.
They're canceling.
It's not the news. We're gonna have to delay our trip a little bit because the chill, with all the rain that they had and suffered over the last week and a half, they're going under some construction. So
Sorry.
we're gonna probably delay our trip a little bit, but. Hopefully it'll be up and running back in business pretty soon, but they're going to probably need a little time for repairs.
Okay.
So that's the news I'm delivering via my brother Dominic yesterday.
Wow.
With his Raider jersey on, and Amanda had the Raider stuff on, and it was great. It was good to see.
Unbelievable, yeah. And Jimmy was being honored all over the place.
Yeah, that's right. The Ring of Honor.
He broke the ice with Jerry Jones and got placed in the Ring of Honor at the Cowboy Stadium. And there he was, smiling next to Jerry, a scene you thought you would never witness again. He does have respect for Jerry, but you could kind of sense when we talked to him the last time that it wasn't necessarily a deep-rooted love anymore.
Somebody showed me the picture of Jerry and Jimmy standing next to each other, and I said immediately, I was thinking, I wonder if you could just, in their mind, what they're actually saying and what they're saying, publicly is two different things.
It's kind of like running in, you're going to run into the ex-wife every now and then, no matter how contentious or ugly the situation was when you split up. And then you have to go to weddings and things like that, birth of a child, Thanksgiving, maybe you show up at the same place and, hey, how you doing? But there's nothing but contempt dripping inside. All right, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. I tell you, it's going to be really deflated. Never mind Dolphin fans worried about the offense. Mike Mayo.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. He already was sizing up those jumbo shrimp and scallops that are on the Italian fisherman pizza.
We just have to be patient. That's all. Mike,
it's funny. Yeah, I mean, he has no idea. I don't think he realizes how grand it is, the food there at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Because he's used to going to Carbone and some of these uppity places. And, you're thinking, okay, this is some place in the Keys. I mean, how elegant can the dining be? And yet, while being casual, it gives you all of the same kind of culinary delights and sensations that you would get if you went to the finest of restaurants. So that's really the unique thing about the Chill. Plus, the atmosphere is second to none. All right, we'll come back. We'll touch on the college ranks with John Congemi, the Pigskin Playbook, here on the Defo Show. Peel yourself off the mat Monday. Mike Lubie, surprisingly solid today with the Florida State thing, which I think they're about to get hosed in the college football playoff.
I mean, I don't care about the rank. I mean, we'll talk about it.
All right, we'll get into that with John Congemi in just a moment. Now that
time.
I thought he would be sitting there literally like he was Jean Morant with a gun to his head. It's 8:49. The Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
State Line Dolphins with John Congemi, and that's brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill in the Keys, and we're looking very much forward to doing some broadcasts there. I think we're going to head down there like once a month during the football season. I have to ask you this, and feel free to, not necessarily spill the beans from a personal standpoint to your good friend Dan Marino. Does he experience, or did he ever experience nightmares about handing the ball off to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar that one year when Jimmy insisted on running the ball on every play? And it was always, the announcer, I think it was Ron St. John, was a stadium announcer back then, and you could hear him say, hand off to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, gain of 1, 2nd and 9. Hand off to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, gain of 1, 3rd and 8. Danny, ever talk about that?
No, we never really talked about that, Defo, but you're right. I think they did have that on loop at whatever the stadium was called at that time.
It was 1 yard every time. And it was a generous 1 yard they were giving them statistically.
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
All right, with the scoreboard exploding like it did over the weekend with a zillion different results, both college and pros, it's always difficult to get to everything. But a few minutes left here with John Congemi on the Pigskin Playbook. And on the college gridiron, Georgia hammers Tennessee. They look very impressive. I think they solidified most people's idea that they are the number one team in the country. And until beaten, that they may very likely be a 3-time repeating national champion. Hasn't happened since like 1940-something. Ohio State, here's a number for you, John, and I saw it today, and I'm refreshing my memory here by looking at it. Against Wisconsin, Rutgers, Michigan State, and Minnesota, last 4 games, Ohio State. Combined score 134-32. That while we watched Michigan look a little bit fugazi. I'm not sure that you can attribute all of this to the Jim Harbaugh stuff because they struggled against Penn State. It wasn't an overwhelmingly impressive win. And in Maryland, actually had a chance to be right there in that game, and Michigan State, prevailed. Michigan prevailed there, but they didn't look so hot to me at 11-0, and they are going to clash. So I would think Ohio State, Michigan's favored by like 4 points. They're at home, which would have to be a consideration. But Ohio State looks like it's playing far better football right now than Michigan, and maybe that whole facade about the early 9 wins that they had against weak opponents. The combined record of Michigan's opponents before that last 2 games, it was something like 42-53. I mean, very weak schedule. So what do you think? I mean, how does the hierarchy stack up to you in college football right now?
Well, I think I agree with you with Georgia at the top. And I think you flip a coin between Michigan and Ohio State. I really do. I think whoever, who's going to play the home game when they face each other, it's Michigan, is going to be favored. If it was Ohio State, I think they'd be favored by a field goal.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where I see those teams. And unfortunately, I do think Florida State's going to get knocked a peg because of the injury to Travis. Should they? I don't know. They're still.
How could they do that when they racked up 50 points? I know they were playing a weak team, but
I know.
They got 50 points with their backup. Yeah,
I don't think that's right, but that's the way college football is sometimes. Now, I could be completely wrong, but I just think that they're going to take that into consideration. The only good thing about Florida State is that now facing another rival in Florida, their quarterback went down as well with a collarbone injury. So I
Ethel
think
Mertz,
I think it's more detrimental to Florida State in terms of Travis really gives you so many dimensions and so many plays he makes with his legs. I don't know if Florida State's going to, how they're going to play call to kind of make up for that. Maybe they get to other things in the offense and going on the road. I feel like if they were home, you'd kind of have a little bit more mojo, but going on the road against Florida that have athletes that can play good defense, you feel like you're exposed a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, because you're still traveling the defense. So Washington may get in at 4, but I don't get to see a whole lot of Washington, Oregon, but what I do see when I watch glimpses of games is team speed. Oregon has plenty of it. I saw that on display against Colorado when they played earlier in the year. And if Oregon gets the right matchup, if they were to get in or Washington get in, there's a lot of team speed there. And I don't know if they could dethrone. It would take turnovers and field position and getting on top early and hanging on at the end, because I think the other 3 teams are better than them. And I'd throw Florida State in there as well. But they do have a lot of team speed. And Alabama's the wild card. Alabama's playing really good, and they're going to have to play their best game of the year to stay with Georgia. But they are playing well, and I'd give them a fighter's chance in that game.
Some startling numbers here with Oregon. They've outscored their opposition by 328 points this season. Their lone loss was a 3-point loss to Washington. Washington, since that time, has not been overly impressive.
Well,
look, Oregon's been great.
I would do with it, since I'm the Florida State fan and everyone thought I'd be mine.
Notice we excluded Florida State here, Lubie. Sorry about that. I think it's undeserved.
Look, right now, and people give me crap because I watch Florida State so much. I know the things that other people don't. And it's why 2 years ago, when everyone thought LSU would run them off the field, I said, no, we're not only going to play well, we're going to win. Mm-hmm. And we ended up demolishing LSU. And then again, this year I said the same thing because I actually follow them. I know their players. And it's hard to know every team's backup. It's hard to know every team's everything. But I do. So that's why I'm calm today, because I've watched this team. Jordan Travis is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Jordan Travis has come light years as a quarterback to where I, including himself, thought he should be a receiver 3 years ago, to now he is a legitimate Heisman candidate. He will get drafted somewhere and he will play in the NFL. Where, I don't know. How high will he get drafted? I don't know. But that is not what anyone would have thought 3 years ago. Okay. So I'm not poo-pooing the kid. I'm sad for him. The fact that senior night, he's come so far. He's been pretty much the linchpin in this resurgence with that coaching staff. Yeah. It was sad to see that play, which I didn't realize this hip drag thing is a big issue around the NFL and college. I guess 3 different guys got hurt Saturday from the same stupid tackle that is legal but dangerous. I didn't even know that. I'm not that knowledgeable about football. So I think the outside world should feel the way the outside world feels. There is a reason FSU fans don't feel that way. I think it should be Georgia. I would put Ohio State. I think Michigan is not what people think Michigan is. And you cannot tell me that this guy's the same thing as having Harbaugh. It's funny. We made all the jokes, but watching them play, there is a difference. Having Sharon Moore there, the guy who's crying over Jim Harbaugh. Their play calling they won't throw it. McCarthy's not what they think he is. So I would put Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, and I put Washington. Look, Washington's beaten 4 top 25 teams. They're not playing well. I mean, their defense is a sieve, and they're
they have to outscore everybody.
As good as their offense is, it does have issues. But right now, they've beaten 4 top 25 teams, and they have their Heisman contender quarterback. I put them 4. Florida State is a question mark. Look, the rest of the nation doesn't know Tate Rodemaker. They don't understand this kid. So I would
is it the same kid that came in against Louisville last year or 2 years ago? Yeah,
it is. It was last year. That's the thing. This isn't the normal backup. This isn't fucking Tim Boyle or the guy that the Gators are trying and who's never been there. Like
that guy who played well though, the Gator backup. He ran very effectively. He showed a lot of points.
But Tate Rodemaker's been there 4 years. He's been there 4 years. Norvell literally recruited him with another quarterback because he saw something in this kid. He had chances to transfer, and Norvell said, don't transfer. You're going to get your time. He came in last year versus Louisville when they were down on the road, and their season was, remember, they had lost like 3, they were in the brink. He came in, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. They don't cater the offense, it's the same offense. The kid has a friggin' cannon, and he has cojones. Like, he doesn't give a shit. And this team believes in him. So he goes out there, and they don't change anything. The only thing they do is play smarter instead
And
of
Lubie,
yeah.
again, in that Louisville game, didn't he start really slow and then he got better as the game went on? And then all of a sudden it was like he started making plays down the field.
They did what you should do with a backup is they brought him in slowly, and then they were at like the 4, and he chucked a 60-yard fucking bomb with defense in his face standing in the end zone. So like the dude, and that's not what they did this game. This game they were down, and then this game happened, right? You're down 13-0. Yeah, it's North Alabama. They were down 13-0 to North Alabama with Travis, and their offense was abysmal. Their offense looked like ass. Jordan Travis looked off. Jordan Travis gets hurt. You're now, season's done, right? Everyone's crying. The goddamn both teams were on the field with Travis. There's no way you should be able to come back from that, right? This backup comes in. They put up 45 straight points, score 58 straight points as a team, and the offense opened up more. Not because it's better without Travis. It's not, but because Norvell started calling the plays we've been asking for him to call for 2 months. He and Mike McDaniel are the same freaking dude. They're young coaches that have done a lot with a roster that people questioned. And instead of just saying, okay, I'm here, they still want to prove stuff. And with Jordan Travis had gotten to the point where he trusted it so much, he was running an offense he shouldn't have been running. They were taking way too many chances. And when they have one of the best running back rooms in the country, they were chucking it down the field because Keon Coleman is this Megatron. And it got frustrating. FSU fans, if you follow FSU fans, they've not been happy with this offense for a while. The offense they played the last 3 quarters was the offense they need to play now. If they play that offense with Jordan Travis, of course they're better. But they weren't. It's now like 6 games in a row they weren't doing it. So they're not better without Travis. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is they're not.
But they're okay. They're okay.
Shouldn't they send Lubie to lobby for the position to the College Football Playoff Committee before they decide
here's the deal.
to hose Florida State? And if Bobby Bowden is coaching there instead of Norvell, would they really drop him out of the?
Look, the short story long. Just let me finish. Short story long. They should be 5th now, but who gives a shit? Like you said it. They go on the road to play an SEC team, right? They then will play the ACC championship. If they win those games, Rodemaker will be 3-0, and they will have shown they can win with Rodemaker. So I don't care where they rank now. They can put him 8 right now. I don't give a shit. If they win their games, they'll be 3 or 4. So that's it. So it is what it is.
Happy Lubie. Very unusual approach by Mike Lubie-Livitz. He has actually spoken to Bobby Bowden via seance. and Bobby reassured him that
I think the one thing that'll be interesting to watch for is if Georgia loses to Alabama, they're still going to be in the top 4.
What do they do with that?
But depending on how the Ohio State-Michigan game goes, will one of those 2 teams leave the top 4? If they get beat by 17
You would think
points.
so. I mean, if Michigan gets clobbered, then I think they've been exposed as being somewhat fraudulent. I know you got to run, John, but I did want to touch on this hurricane thing because I'm watching Mario Cristobal after the game talk about how much improvement the hurricane program has shown. I'm looking, naturally I was involved with them in the heyday there, so that's a different barometer. And that was 20 years of just amazing football. I'm not used to a coach coming out at 6-5 and saying, well, look at what we're doing here. We're in these games in the 4th quarter. We have a chance to win them. And you were thinking, well, wouldn't that pertain to coaching somewhat? If you're in a position to win and all the cliches would tell you that, well, what can a coach do except put you in a position to win? But just accept that, well, we're losing all of these ball games. It seems a little bit lame to me. And I don't know that I'm seeing that they've made such amazing progress, but I thought that was weak. And, they did have opportunities there. They missed a couple of plays at the end to tie the ball game. Louisville is a good team. That they're not as good on the road as they are at home, according to the stats anyway. But sort of unimpressive all the way around, the whole attitude of the program at this point.
The thing that doesn't make that jive is that when you watch the Canes play, you can tell they're improved athletically, schematically, in all the ways that you want to make improvements, but you're still losing those games.
Yeah.
So to say that means it must be something else. It's not.
It was there to be had, that ball.
It was there to be had.
Yes.
And, just as the 2 Canes defenders run into each other to get the easy touchdown for Louisville did the same thing. Louisville gave them the same opportunity. So at some point you have to win those games down the stretch if you're going to tout that you're so improved or you've come this far, you have to be able to beat teams like that because, Louisville's ranked 10, but Louisville could be ranked 21st too. I mean, they're not any gangbusters. You know, it's like NC State. You don't go and lose to NC State then if you're that good because they're not that good.
Or Georgia Tech.
And that goes back to not the players on the field.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. All right. Very, unfortunate that we're having to find solace in moral. I don't even know, is that a moral victory when you lose and you're thinking that's a good thing? Just doesn't add up for me. All right. I know you got to run, John. Thanks so much.
It's Monday. Sir.
They had the Jet game following the Dolphin game. Did you get the night off after the ball game yesterday?
No.
Or did you do 60 minutes?
For the fifth quarter. We stayed on for the fifth quarter. And this week on Friday, I think we're going to do a Dolphins Weekly Live at 11:30. And then we're going to have a pregame show at 1 o'clock, 1 to 2. Or 2 to 2:45, something like that, and then the game kicks at 3, and then we'll do the post game. So I'm going to bring extra turkey from Thursday, bring it to the station on Friday. Looks like we'll be there all day.
Are you going to pull a Madden? And run up like a turducken or something? And go to the telestrator. Nice. That'd be awesome. You should pull that on Cunio, and Goldstein when you get a chance. All right, John, always a pleasure, my friend. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. So let us know. Keep us posted.
I will.
What's happening there? Because we want to get down there very much so. So, and looking forward to some sunshine in the Keys and some great food and drink and R&R. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, guys. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Talk to you soon.
All right, John Congemi, ladies and gentlemen. Brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. It's a little troubling that they had this kind of difficulty, but they'll bounce back nicely. If Jimmy's involved there, he'll just orchestrate this thing, start snapping it. Okay, the roof. And get that job done pretty quickly. We hope so. All right, Lubie, excellent. Your defense of Florida State, I think, as eloquently put as anything that you've ever said here on the show and said and communicated with a complete, depth of passion that I like. Usually you're the guy that would be saying, okay, that's it, it's over. And instead,
I will if it's meant. But
remarkable composure on your part.
Yeah, they've been top 5 for a reason all year. Jordan Travis is a big part of it, but they also have a lot of talent. They have a lot of veterans, and they have a real backup. They don't have just some guy that is a freshman. It's just different.
Yeah, immediately everybody, that was talking about their status in the college football playoff picture started to say, well, the committee's got to look at that. And I'm thinking, why? They just put up 50 points with the guy that came in.
It depends. Like if they look like shit, yeah, obviously. But if they look the same, then who gives a shit? Who's
that wasn't? They weren't dropping Alabama if they were in the same situation. That's for sure. No. All right, we have to run. Thanks so much. Catch us the Tony Bruno Sports Network. You can download the app and catch the show. We're hoping we get off to a decent start today. The last couple of days, it's been a little dicey there. Thursday, Friday. I think we might have pulled it off on Thursday, and then Friday
was bad again.
Yeah, it was such ugliness and it's very difficult actually to start and stop a show 100 times.
No, it's just dumb
because you're trying to get some momentum going and get rolling, and then all of a sudden, what? Are we on? And then, we're fidgeting around with computers and this and matching volumes, and then we're hearing delay. So hopefully we'll get that fixed up because I think that's going to be a really good thing, and I'm looking forward to doing some good things there. Tony Bruno Sports Network. We also have a No Filter thing, Caffeine TV, a morning briefing coming up, so stick around. And then Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, 1 o'clock today. I'm assuming that's from the home base, Mike Lubie.
We're at Grandpa's. The idea is Grandpa's. The hope is Grandpa's.
Oh, geez. Wow.
Grandpa's.
Yeah. That's a tough one for me today. I wasn't counting on that. All right. We'll see you next time as we leave into that.
The time.
It's 9:09.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.